Here in the northwestern reaches of Michigan's Upper Peninsula is a beautiful shady cemetery. The graves for the Gipper family from the town of Calumet look much like the others surrounding them, but there's one marker that has a very large story behind it. Is the final resting place for hometown athlete George Gipper, born in 1895.
He was pretty much truant a lot of the time. Not a troublemaker in school, but just wasn't there very often. But he showed up when the games were being played, and he only played basketball. He didn't play football.
But local historian Bob Urkela explains that George also played pickup baseball games, and that sport led him to South Bend, Indiana. Wilbur Gray, who was also from Calumet, recruited Gipper to play baseball at Notre Dame, despite the fact he was Protestant and did not have a high school diploma. That's where a chance encounter with the Irish gridiron coach changed football history.
And then, of course, the story, a lot of people have heard it, with Newt Rockne seen him one day kick a football in an adjacent field to the baseball diamond, and holy cow, he says, "Where are you from?"
Rockne got Gipper to play football, and his fame soon eclipsed any accomplishments in baseball. Gipper's career rushing total of 2,341 yards stood as a Notre Dame record for over 50 years. The season rushing average of 8.1 yards per carry on over 100 rushes back in 1918 is still a record. But Gipper contracted strep throat during his senior season, and at a time without modern drugs like penicillin, his outlook was grim. It was a scene made famous by Ronald Reagan in the 1940 movie Newt Rockne, All-American.
Someday when the team's up against it, breaks are beating the boys, ask them to go in there with all they've got. Win just one for the Gipper.
George Gipper died at the age of 25 on December 14, 1920. 8 years after Gipper's death, Notre Dame was losing to an undefeated Army team. Rockne's halftime speech recalled Gipper's dying words.
Yeah, and the speech was definitely made in the locker room at halftime of that Army-Notre Dame game. But it was by Newt Rockne. Now, whether that was his version of what Gipper told him or not, I guess we never really will know for sure.
The speech is credited with rallying Notre Dame's players, helping them come back to defeat Army 12-6. The winning score was dubbed the "That's One for the Gipper" touchdown. But the line became bigger than football, becoming associated with President Reagan, who used it in 1988 to rally support for his vice president, who was vying for the Oval Office.
But George, just one personal request. Go out there and win one for the Gipper.
The movie in 1940 and Reagan's use of the line during his presidency solidified the career of a football player who otherwise might have been forgotten.
I think they were good for each other. You know, Ronald Reagan, his career was helped a lot by playing George Gipper, and George Gipper, 20 years after his death, also now became well known. And
even though it's been about a century since George Gipper was on the field at Notre Dame, his athletic abilities and his role in movies still make the Gipper a well-known name in America. Traveling the countryside in Calumet, Michigan, I'm Andrew McCrae.